Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And joining me today is Annemarie. Is that how I pronounce your name?
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. So happy to have you.
Yeah, I'm super happy to be here and just having the opportunity to talk. And yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, awesome. Where about are you tuning in from?
So today I'm tuning in from Bamberg in Germany. That's close to Nuremberg, Munich in the south.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. So to start, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Of course. So yeah, I'm Annemarie. I'm German, but I work internationally. I've been working as a freelancer in content, visual branding, and just storytelling generally for 10 years now. And I've had so many iterations and pivoting around that because for me, I realized the more I dabbled in like different aspects, everything is really connected. So I've come to the conclusion that I can really help people with a big picture perspective on how they actually land with their branding, because we're always thinking about we need to optimize this, and then there's all of
Yeah.
this noise online telling you to do this trend and this algorithm change, but then we often forget to actually have fun because we started it as a passion project usually.
Mm-hmm.
And also we forget that we are our own most unique selling point. We are a brand in and of itself, especially if you're a solopreneur, and so your personality matters. And that was one of the hardest things to actually translate and to actually have the courage to show yourself fully so people can actually find you and see you. Because if you don't show up as yourself when they meet you and you're different, it's kind of this weird disconnect. And I just want people to embrace that because it feels so much more soul nourishing to find your people. And then that just leads to more opportunities. So I help with branding, photo, video, and I specialize in virtual photography.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I love what you do. How long have you been doing photography for?
I don't even know because like it's always been a big hobby of mine. Like I grew up with it and then I just always had it on the side and then it just became part of creating content. And then I realized I was not that good. And so I was training more and trying different things and,
Mhm.
learning as I went along. Because at the start, I was focusing mostly on destination marketing and creating content for destinations and tourism. So people
Mhm.
can vicariously feel where they could go, because usually people just give you these kind of stock image things with some b-roll and speed ramping, and I'm like, I'm not a bird, like that's not how I travel, what is this? And so
Yeah.
I realized I need to add it differently to get the story across, to get people to feel something,
Mhm.
and have that kind of different way of vicariously traveling where you're just like, oh, I'm actually feeling like I'm traveling through that person's eyes in a completely different way, because I'm a very quirky person with a weird brain because of ADHD, and I'm like, oh, shiny thing here, shiny thing there, like let's walk up that mountain randomly, like story time, adventure. And so translating that into business makes it more exciting, and it
Mhm.
also helps me give people some impetus to just
Mhm.
do something differently in a way
Yeah.
that works for them. It's all about how are you and what is comfortable for you, but also makes you stand out.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. When you were growing up, did you love photography or is it something you develop a passion for later?
No, I always loved it. I don't even know how it really started. I grew up in the 90s. So at one point, my parents gave me one of these film cameras where you have the film to
Mhm.
develop.
Yeah.
And I was really bad at it. I could not remove the finger in front of the lens. Every
Yeah.
picture had this weird finger there. And I see the world very differently than a lot of people. Like I look at,
Mhm.
I don't know, trash bag in the wind and I'm like, that's so beautiful. Do you see like the rippling of the trash, like the comparison, like with the clouds and like matches, and people are like, that is weird. And so I started using photography as a way to show people what's on my brain, to visually show them what I mean.
Yeah.
And that didn't translate so well in photography because the lens doesn't really do as much as your human eye does. And so I
Mhm.
had to learn with different composition and all of these things and actually take away the finger from the lens. And so when
Mhm.
digital cameras came, I was like, thank you. My parents were also very happy. And so I was always the one who like on the floor, climbing the trees for different, like, I wonder what an ant would take a picture of. Like, how would that look? Right. And so I've just always developed that as a tool to
Mhm.
show people what I see. So I didn't feel so weird. But it's also like I realized it's also really helpful for other people to get away from the mundane, to like just take things for granted, because I will shake the thing up. They're like, I had never considered doing that. I'm like, well, there you go.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I love photography. It's so mesmerizing and beautiful. And I
Yeah.
think the images we capture is how our soul is speaking to us, because
Yes.
not everyone can understand what's going inward. And that's the beauty
No.
of expression and expressing how we feel through what we love.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's art. And also I realized, and someone pointed it out to me like last week, that you can use it to heal yourself. Like there's a lot of manifestation tools, and you need to visualize. And first and
Mhm.
foremost, TikTok taught me that not everybody can actually visualize things in their eyeballs like I can. Like it's called, like people have aphantasia is what it's called. They
Mhm.
have concepts. I don't know what that's like. But so like when I come in, I hear a story, someone tells me, I will see it in my head. And if it's very gory, I don't like to see that. Thank you. But I also see the person and their essence. In some way, there's
Mhm.
people who can read auras and stuff. Like I can see a vibe and
Mhm.
I see the visuals. I'm like, oh my gosh, you should be surrounded by like orchids in a beautiful gown, and you should hold a sword and a parrot. I don't know. And I will then be able to do that in the photo session to lure people out, make them really comfortable by telling the wackiest stories instead of prompts,
Yeah.
to relax them and just be like a kid again. And then I will edit the photos in a way that helps them see how amazing they are to me and other people. Because I realized as a photographer, one of the saddest things, and super common, especially with women, they look at the photo and zero in on their flaws. And it breaks my heart.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
used to be like that too. Like that's nothing I can fix. I'm not a therapist. And I just want to see, I want to show you, you're amazing. Take the compliment, take it. But can't make people do that. And
Yeah.
so I realized if I do photo in a way that makes it more visible of what they are instead of just what you see normally,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
really can help also heal your soul a little bit, make you feel comfortable, and then you can do it over time and see
Mhm.
such a dramatic change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Um, in your opinion, what has changed from the time that you started to take pictures?
Well, first I'm better. And I am more confident in just being different, first and foremost. And actually, the more I just follow random creative ideas, like a while ago, I just had out of the blue an idea like I should use all of the bubble wrap I had for my furniture and wear it. And there should be a goldfish. And I'm like, what is this idea? What is this? And so I did it, and it's amazing. It's weird. It's the most wacky self-portrait, and it just like my inner child was happy. It looked cool. People are impressed, and I'm like, that's cool. And
Yeah.
so that changed. The more I experiment, the more I actually get into the creative flow, and the more
Mhm.
I can also have these ideas to use on other people in a way that works for them.
Yeah.
Like I constantly have all of these ideas. If people want to do a project with me, I'm just like, how about this? How about this? How about this? Stop me when you like it. Like,
Yeah.
so it's not just me imposing my creative direction on people. It's more of a co-creation.
Mhm.
And sometimes you don't get all of these wacky ideas because we censor ourselves. And
Mhm.
if there's like somebody who's just so wild, that it inspires people to just like, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer here. I can just spitball things. I'm like, yes, tell me the weirdest thing. Do you want to be an alien? I don't know.
Yeah.
And how that also translates into video. So like that's another
Mhm.
thing that I added,
Mhm.
because you can capture a personality in a video so much more. But again, there's about framing and
Mhm.
spacing and how to edit it. And because I've been doing video editing as well, I have always been a bit annoyed when people just dump their footage on me and they're like, I got it. Like, you don't need to film it. You don't need to like give me the concept. And it doesn't make sense. Like, no heads or tails. It's just all over the place. It doesn't have a
Mhm.
story. I can make some sort of story out of anything. I don't know how, like that a
Mhm.
talent that I have, but it's never as good as it could be if you start from the beginning, where you really see this is the movie. I see the movie. I can write it down. I can give you the pictures. I can tell you how to film it, which angle, like which lighting, and then you just like
Mhm.
bam 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 film it, and then you
Mhm.
can have the exact video you need for whatever purpose you need. It needs to be strategic while also then being creative in those realms.
Mhm.
Like it's
Mhm.
a mixture.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I have fun with makeup and hair.
Oh
And
yeah,
so I'm wearing a green lipstick and
I love it.
yeah, thank you. People are just you know, they've never seen it. They're staring and like, okay, whatever. That's how it makes me feel good, and I enjoy expressing that way. And yeah, it's to be bold and to do what you love and to just do it. Not
Yeah,
everyone's gonna love or like it, to just do it. Yeah.
exactly. And
Hmm.
that's the most important lesson I've learned, because I used to be the biggest people pleaser and I thought I did everything wrong. And a lot of people then just, did that, especially anybody who grew up with an undiagnosed ADHD, they know. But
Yeah.
I realized if I show up as myself fully and people will reject me, either way,
Mhm.
even when I was a people pleaser, I tried to make it right by everybody and people still didn't like it. There were still nobody likes everybody and not everybody will be liked by everybody, right? And so when you actually show up as yourself, it feels so much
Mhm.
more validating when people are
Yeah.
like, I like you, because they actually saw you, not a
Mhm.
persona or a mask you put on. And
Yeah.
that way you can also be like a beacon for your people who like your flavor of weird, right?
Yeah.
And they won't know until you actually show it. And
Mhm.
you just save the time of everybody. Like the people who don't like you, you need to repel them really hard, and then they go like, oh, I hate this. Maybe there's some trolls, block, 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 you know?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. What are your thoughts on AI and Photoshop?
Well, I use it in specific ways, but the problem with AI is that most of it is just stolen content, right? There's
Mm.
all of these artists who create these beautiful pieces by hand in like whatever medium, and
Yeah.
I put in so much work, and artists' work has always been very much undervalued, underpaid. And people are like, oh, if it's a hobby, you should not be paid. You should be like enjoying validation, whatever, which is
Yeah.
nonsense. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work, it's a lot of resource. And we saw that also during the pandemic. Like art was what
Mm.
kept people going. We watched Netflix all the time. We looked at all of these accounts. People need art. Storytelling has always been big with humans. We
Mhm.
can't just be logical. That doesn't make sense. And so I like AI to support your vision. Like, if I do these wild ideas with the goldfish and the bubble wrap, I was like, I don't know what to make of this. So I just like typed in some AI machine, like sort of model goldfish
Mhm.
wrapping. And I'm just like, just give me some random ideas. And I looked at the pictures, I'm like, that's what inspired me to then like draw some like things from
Mhm.
it. But I didn't like
Yeah.
copy it or anything. And I would never publish like AI photos. There's so many accounts of that.
Mhm.
And people were like, oh, I don't need to draw anything. I just ask AI, then have a perfect photo of like a
Mhm.
drawing. I'm like, so you appreciate art, but you just want it stolen. It's like just piracy with, a
Mhm.
CD age, with music
Mhm.
age, when we all downloaded all of the
Yeah.
TV and music. It's just the same kind of disregard for the work that goes into it and the
Mhm.
value we bring to it. And so it needs to be highly regulated. There should
Mhm.
be definitely regulation. And art, it doesn't make sense. Like, why don't we use AI to help people be in less boring jobs and
Yeah.
let people be more creative and innovative? Because
Mhm.
AI can't do that. Just look at the photos with the five, like, no, wait, seven fingers, or like the weird Jesus coming from a crab walking in like a sea of fries kind of pictures. And you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be used as a tool to maybe like words, like create something from words into something that people can see, but then you can just use it as a storyboard instead of
Mhm.
just like writing it out real quick. Because then, like when I make notes and I'm like really excited, I cannot ever read whatever I wrote down. I was like, I need someone to like record it and maybe do the picture. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I thought. And then I can
Mhm.
build on it, but not replace anything. Like AI shouldn't replace human creativity at all,
Mhm.
ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's also Photoshop.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it can help to like maybe change, when there's a weird bump in your hair or like there's a weird crease on your dress. Like I fix stuff like that like real quick. Like it just generates things, it takes it from my own photo and
Yeah.
replaces, like the background makes it bigger when the alignment isn't right because people moved weird or I just didn't trigger it properly, and it just helps you build on what you've already created. Then that's okay.
Mhm.
And but if you like change integrally, I guess it's the
Mhm.
same issue with people bought photoshopping bodies. That's also a problem that also needs to be declared and
Yeah.
regulated, because it just does so much on your mental health as well. Not
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's talk about women empowerment. In your own
Yeah.
opinion, why did you choose to help empower women? And what does it mean to you?
Well, I chose it because that's what I would have needed, and that's what I've been seeing. And because, with my people pleasing, I was just not happy. I was so miserable and I thought I did everything right.
Mhm.
And well, what
Oh,
even
sorry,
is
I'm
that?
gonna
Like,
pause quickly. My cat is climbing somewhere he's not supposed to. Yeah, so tell us, why do you choose to help empower women?
because that's what I would have needed, like a big system mentor, because, with the people pleasing and trying to be everything all at once and never really feeling right or seen
Mm,
or heard and really appreciated, I would have, someone would have just told me, just, you know, everybody says, be yourself. What does that even mean? What does that mean?
mm,
Because a lot of people want you to be a version that they are comfortable with in a way.
mhm,
And if, this typical advice that's shoved down women's throats, especially like dating, like you have to appease people and then slowly reveal yourself and your weirdness when people are already hooked on you. Like
mhm,
that should not be how things work. You should be freak flag flying all the time. So people be like, no, no, oh
mhm,
yeah, totally, yes, yes.
mhm,
Because that, again, that cuts down the time and just makes it so much more soul nourishing when you find the people who just embrace you as you are and you take them and they take you in all of your ups and downs. Like, for instance, when I had my absolute lowest point 10 years ago, I was just, doing everything that people expected me, like having great grades in
mhm,
school and then going to university, having like internships, and like I was living in different countries to get work experience, couldn't find a job even though I had all of that and
mhm,
spoke 6 languages, and people were like, yeah, you're not good enough, and I believed them because I had no backbone. And then I was bullied at work and I had a mental breakdown and physically was just so bad in condition that I was like, you know what, F it all. I'm just going to
yeah.
put myself at the other end of the world and move to myself to Australia. And people were like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know, but I
Yeah.
need a reset completely. And then I was just so emotionally barren. I didn't have any emotions other than just feeling deep sadness and crying. And
Mhm,
so when I was traveling, I met all of these amazing people on the road who,
mhm,
didn't have to prove anything to me. They would be like asking me how I am. I would either be like so manic and be like, oh my God, I want to go to these places and these places, tell me about this, or like just run up mountains because I had all of this energy
yeah.
and anger. Or I would just start bawling. I would just cry on these random people and they'd be like, there, tell me all about it. And I'm like, excuse me? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, because I was just so shocked. You mean
Mhm,
it's fine if I'm
mhm,
super erratic and hyper? And it's also fine if I'm super sad and like depressing to be around. And people were like, that's okay. And that was such a big life lesson for me, that it's okay to be yourself. You don't have to remove yourself from situations or hide it, because
mhm,
people want to share your life if they like you. They want to be there for you. And it's
mhm.
not always just one-way street. Like I always thought I needed to be everything for everybody and then couldn't oppose by having emotions. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so when I learned that, and when I started, I was traveling the world by myself for 8 years, living as a digital nomad. And I would be like moving countries on a whim or when the visa expired. And people would just, especially women, would come up to me on the street and they would be like, are you traveling by yourself? Aren't you afraid? And I would always tell them, no, well, not anymore. I would have been like, asked me 15 years ago, would be like, no, that's not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But those women would then also message me like months later and would tell me that I inspired them to start their business, go traveling by themselves, like even just on a one weekend trip, like by themselves for the first time. And I was like, that is amazing. I didn't intend to do any of that, but I like that ripple effect. And I just want women to not have to go through all of these terrible ups and downs like I did. I just want to uplift them where they are to see that all of that is possible.
Yeah.
And you just sometimes need like a spirit guide, like someone cheering you on and giving you these ideas and encouragement to just be there.
Mhm.
Just, feeling it out as you go along, because we are adults, we don't have it figured out. That is a big lie.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So have
Thank you
fun
for
with it.
sharing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Anything involving women empowerment, it just
Mhm.
fires me up because I've experienced everything you've shared, and I'm from a different culture and country. It just goes to show that women from across the globe has and or continue to be impacted by society, by the
Yeah.
culture they're in, by the by how they were raised. And I don't know, to women watching this, to myself, to you, just be you. And there's
Hmm.
nothing, there'll always be something more that society wants that you may not have. Just be yourself and accept
Right.
that hey, you might get rejection, and use that as fuel to continue to
Yes.
fight and fulfill your dreams.
And also be thankful because they will tell you they're not for you. So you're like, oh my gosh, they saved me time because
Hmm.
I might have known further down the road when I'm already invested in something, and
Yeah.
that's when we start settling for people and being like, oh, boundaries, what is that? Like I could stretch myself thin. I
Yeah.
did that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But also, I guess like also my advice on like what that means, be yourself. What does it even is
Mhm.
to just take yourself out on like dates or just figure it out like a kid would. Like, do I actually like these foods? Just try them all. Like, do I want to maybe sit on the floor for a change? Do I just want to go for a walk? Like
Mhm.
trying different things, following your curiosity. If you have this impulse, oh, how about I just start pottery, whatever,
Yeah.
and then your brain usually comes in like, oh, this is stupid, like, oh, do we have money, blah blah blah. No, we don't care. You want to start pottery, you can do it. You can also stop it, totally cool. Like you
Mhm.
can dabble and drop things, and you can try different things, you can combine different things. There's no rule and there's no need for perfection, and that
Mhm.
can also then in turn lead you to meet people, to try things, to maybe even start a new business on the side.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be the pressure, and figuring out who you are it, at any stage in life is really really fascinating because we also change, like like your taste changes, sometimes your
Mhm.
interest changes,
Mhm.
and you don't know until you try it you know
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Let's talk about branding and marketing. How has branding and marketing changed the work that you're doing?
Well, I first started with, creating content, and I thought that there was like a specific way to please the
Mhm.
algorithm, and I couldn't possibly show up as myself because people wanted just travel information. Why would they want my personal opinion on things? And that's also a bit
Mhm.
of a tricky thing, especially with
Yeah.
travel. You don't want to be opposing like your ideas on other people's cultures and nations when what do you even know, right? There's always this fine
Mhm.
line to walk about making things look exotic and problematic. So I
Yeah.
and then it was also like I started during the time when this trend was up where you had the floppy hats and the beautiful flowy dresses on the mountains and
Mhm.
from the back. So, that was really convenient. You didn't have to show your bad hair days, especially when you hiked up the stupid mountain and you're sweating like crazy. You just put on the hat, you stand there farther away, nobody would know. And you'll still
Mhm.
look cute. And that helped people put themselves like vicariously in the shoes. Like, oh, I could be standing on this hill. Like if they don't see your
Yeah.
face, then there's a psychological effect. But that also made me hide my personality, and especially in the writing, because then SEO came, and then you just write like AI. Like I wrote like a robot, just so it would show up on Google, and that sucked my soul. It was like horrible, it was boring because the way I travel is not optimized for to-do lists. I just go randomly somewhere and discover things, and then there's a story. So like I wrote books about those stories. That's not like SEO at all. Like nobody Googles like how to lick an ant spot in Australia. Like, why would you
Mhm.
do that? And
Mhm.
why did I do that? You know, weird
Yeah.
stuff. And I remember distinctly, I was this time in Australia when I was doing like a working holiday. So I did all kinds of random jobs, and one of them was door-to-door sales, which I hated. And my team member, she, because like we were constantly overworked. It was a really really horrible job. We weren't even allowed to eat and drink while we were on the job for like 12 hours in the sun in Australia. It was horrible.
Oh,
And they
wow.
would like cruise around to check on us. And
Yeah.
so sometimes I would just like knock on people's doors and they would take pity on me, like lure me inside with like chicken wings or something. Like that's super irresponsible. But I was like, I'm so like beside myself. I'm so dehydrated and hungry. And
Mhm.
so when that happens, because like when I don't get like my needs met, and then with ADHD that often sometimes happens, I get
Mhm.
like frantic and hyper and energetic and can't control it. And
Mhm.
a lot of those people, they liked that. And again, I was like, what do you mean you like that? This is like weird. No? And they're like, I love your energy. You're so bubbly. And then they started signing the stuff that I was selling. And I was like, what you just bought from me because you like my personality. What do you mean?
Mm.
And then my team member who was supposed to oversee me, she was like, I saw your blog, I saw your photos and your writing, and it's nice, but you can't contain whatever you have going on. Like you need to put all of you into a video so people can see and feel that whatever, like she
Hmm.
wasn't able to put it into words. And I
Yeah.
was like, that makes sense. And so
Yeah.
I started doing it again. I was super uncomfortable. I was really bad at it, but it's about, trying it and filming it and then just getting better as you go along.
Hmm.
And I realized that is much more fun. And that
Yeah.
actually finds people in a different place than if you just give them information. Google now does that, steals all the information, puts it on the main page. You don't have to click anything. So,
Hmm.
but if they
Yeah.
actually know you and they like you and they follow you and become genuine fans, they will
Hmm.
look at your stuff. They will want to know, where are you now? What are you doing? What's your next project?
Hmm.
And they will be excited for you and they will hype you up and like refer you and talk about you. And that is the best marketing you can have. And that ties in with branding, where you actually show up as yourself. And people are like, that's the woman who's always in like yellow and pink. Like, obviously, like it's so distinct. And those
Yeah.
colors I just randomly picked because I felt like those are my favorite colors today. And then
Mhm.
they're still my favorite colors after 4 years. So like, that's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because yeah, for me, I came up with my own branding and stuff, and obviously I question why don't I have a logo like a regular podcaster? And I'm like,
Right.
wait a minute, I'm not trying to be regular or fit in. I'm
Mhm.
just gonna be myself, and it's been going good. Yeah. Yeah, it's been going really
Exactly.
good. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
even use like expertise of like other people who are designers and who are like strategists, whatever. You can use that, but to inform them of how this is going to go. Like, here are
Yeah.
the parameters. Please
Hmm.
interpret them in like a very logical way or whatever. But
Hmm.
it's not like you can just look at the brand and they will be like, you want to be in finance, so you need to use gray and blue. And then you just over here, I'm like, I don't like these colors. I want purple. And they're like, no, you can't have purple. I'm like, who are these people to tell you that? It should be it should be about who you are, and they should interpret that, because you can still
Yeah.
use all of the logic and the stats and the data to
Hmm.
back that up. But ultimately, you need to be good with that, comfortable with that, because you need to sustain that as well. Like, if you don't like your brand, it will show. If you don't feel
Hmm.
comfortable on video, it always shows. If you don't feel comfortable showing your face, currently there's this no face trend going on. Like, you can jump on that, but it's always
Oh.
been, there's so many options.
Yeah.
There's so many options of like creating anything to put yourself out there, and you just need to
Hmm.
figure out maybe what's there, and then you
Yeah.
experiment it, and then
Yeah.
you try it on and you see what you like, what they like, and then just go from there,
Hmm.
and not the other way around.
Yeah. 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 That's true. Yeah. How many languages do you speak? You mentioned
Currently only
6,
2.
right?
I just forgot all of them. Yeah, because I don't use them. I get lazy. People speak English, and then when I travel, I always try to learn the basics, and then I just fumble them really bad. Like, I go to Paris and go to a bakery and I order like a zucchini, you know, and then I'm like, what did I say wrong? And then they just stare at you. Not very helpful, but stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, even when I like, sometimes I had like weird throat affection where I couldn't say anything at all.
Hmm.
And so I learned I can get by even without talking, like I can be Ariel and just like float around with no speaking. There's
Yeah.
always ways. So yeah, I used to be able, like, not really well. Like, I lived in Sweden, so I spoke a little Swedish. Mostly I hear it and like I can read it. Speaking, not so much. But Spanish and French I learned. I was really fluent in Latin. I was such a nerd. I could speak it, and then nobody appreciated that,
Hmm.
So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I shouldn't waste the time in it. Recently, I tried to learn Korean. I'm really bad at it. And then because I studied multiple things in university, because that was still possible with my major. And one of the stuff I studied was like Old Viking language and Middle English, which they spoke in England in the Middle Ages. Like,
Yeah.
that's fun, you know. Yeah, so did I miss something? I don't know.
Yeah, that's
What I
awesome.
miss. It's a lot. But
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool.
now
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
German and English, so.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you'd like to share with us?
Oh, the virtual photography. Yeah, because that's the thing. I'm on a mission to tell people about how awesome that is, and people are like, they don't know that it exists. It's so like accessible. You just download an app, and boom, you can take a photo shoot with your bestie. Like, we can do a
Mhm.
photo shoot like right now. You and I, we're not even on the same continent. And
Yeah.
it's just so cool how it allows you to have business collaborations with people around the world, because I'm all about international networking collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do photo shoots or like take me along with you as a photographer,
Mm-hmm.
because I had like instances where they were traveling and then they were like, I don't know which hotel should we do at a hotel, should we do at this conference? I'm like, everything all at once, like just do the photo
Yeah.
shoots.
Yeah.
If it's 50 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, like you can get so much more content from it, because
Mm.
you don't have to do the go check your face, run back and forth, hate everything, do it again and again. And
Yeah.
the energy is different, because you take a selfie, you're like, yeah, you look cute, and then your bestie takes your selfie and you're like, damn, right? Because the energy is different.
Yeah.
Maybe they know what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
so with photo photography you have this kind of looseness to it, like it
Mm-hmm.
loosens the awkwardness. You
Mm-hmm.
just are in the space, in the now, without being too much in your head thinking about the posing. You don't even see the photographer. You just hear the voice, and the photographer can see the camera of your phone. So you need a phone and internet, and that's it. And
Mm-hmm.
so that makes everything so much easier and more fun, and again, more personal in a way. And it allows you to work with different people if you just want to try out different photographers, or you want to do with your business bestie, or you just want to do a silly photo session.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you call your bestie on like a video call, like, check out these clothes, I'm in a changing room, and like, should I wear this or this? Like, she could take a photo and like show you how silly you look or something. Like sometimes I do that for fun. Like I wear the worst outfits and we just laugh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. What are some of life's lessons that you've learned and would like to share with us?
Well, other than to be yourself, it's just, yeah, being completely okay in its process. I'm not fully there yet, but just embrace being polarizing. It is, like I said, it can be actually a good thing if you like reframe it. It saves you from the toxic people who don't like your vibe, and that doesn't mean
Mhm.
they're like toxic as such. They're just not meant for you, and you just
Yeah.
are honoring yourself. Like being your own best friend really is the
Mhm.
biggest game changer for me. Like the way I realized how I was talking to myself, wouldn't even have talked to, like, yeah, I don't have enemies, but like if I had an enemy, I would have never talked to them like that. That would have been so cruel. I'm like, why do I do this to myself? Why
Mm.
do I berate myself? And the more I was conscious of it, I could see it in the way I was getting upset when things went wrong. Like if I dropped something, I was like, oh my God, oh, you're so stupid. Like, blah, 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 blah,
Mhm.
and then when you realize like, oh, not a
Yeah.
big deal. You just move on, you fix it, you don't think about it. And the way that
Mhm.
I treat other people as well, like with more patience and compassion, or
Yeah.
when they start complaining about themselves, like, oh, I look so fat today. I'm like, don't you say that about my friend, you know? And then they go
Yeah.
like, wait, I was just joking. I'm like, that's not funny. Where's the joke? Because people just got use
Mhm.
fun a lot of it to say something that they mean, but they want to take the harshness out of it. I'm like, no, if you keep repeating it, it's what
Yeah.
you're feeding your brain. Stop it. And so just being mindful of how you judge things, judge yourself, the compassion you can bring. And,
Mhm.
obviously you're human, you mess up. It's okay. But it's
Yeah.
just, what do you do with that? Like, who would you like? Just think of your voice in your head as your like best friend,
Yeah.
or like, name a person. I don't know.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
that is, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
one of the biggest advice.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at the some of your pictures. They're really, really nice.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I love the different angles and the colors.
Mhm.
They're really, really nice. Yeah. Do you
Thank
have
you.
any new projects that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so like I said, I want to kind of merge all of my learnings into a way that makes it more accessible for women to access all of that and get working with me. And so I realized if I use virtual photography as like a retainer for working half or a full year with me, that means they can track the progress that they can see in the photos, but also use it to be more flexible. Like if they want to do a photo shoot like every month, they
Mhm.
could do one of those soul photography sessions where I then take whatever we create and put them in this beautiful artistic framing with making them look like a goddess, right? And so, like, you can feed
Yeah.
your ego and your soul in that way and heal your child, or like use it for manifestation. You want to move to this country, you want to like make big bucks. Let's just create that scene, that vibe, step
Mm.
into this, so you can remind yourself that you are already that person. And then you look at it and your brain, you can train it subliminally, or you just want a month full of content. So we'd be like, yeah, sit in front of the chair, sit on the floor, sit on this, like lean against the counter, like bam, bam, bam. And then in an hour, you have a whole content plan already, and you can just focus on your main business, but you have this flexibility to have photo sessions with you, so you can constantly rebrand as you figure out yourself and not have to wait for like 2 years until you have the big bucks to go to a big studio, which you can still do because it doesn't replace real life photography, but it just helps you make creating content and showing up authentically just less time consuming and less frustrating and just really fun and effective, and then actually raises that vibe in a way, if you allow yourself to be creative in your business, because I will bring that, like I will bring the energy, I will bring the creativity, and people are like, damn, now I feel like unstuck, like I started doing these TikTok videos. I'm like, yes, you go, girl, right? And so you have those sessions where I will just hype you up and come up with these ideas, and you can play around with it and use it in a way that fits you in that moment and evolve as you go. And so like that's currently what I'm doing. And the whole year actually also involves like brand videos, like mini videos where you just introduce yourself at the start, in the middle of the year, and at the end. And because sometimes you make a video and we like it, and half of you we're like, don't like it anymore, or like I changed my offers or this thing. I'm like, yeah, just let's do another video. It's easy, you don't have to overthink it. And then you also get better in front of the camera naturally. You have to just show up. That's really it. And a lot of people are not as comfortable in front of the camera as they could be if they just make it familiar. And so it's like I like to like sneak in a little bit of empowerment and like those lessons, but making it fun and practical, so they don't have to think about it. It doesn't have to be a chore to work on yourself and heal your like inner blocks, like that can be part of it, like depending on how open people are. So like that's currently what I'm working on.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's really, really cool. You're busy. Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to share as we wrap up today's episode?
Well, just that if anybody wants to try a virtual shoot, I always offer like one-off, so they can see, like one-off session, so they can see what it's like, and then they can always, do the full thing if they want to. But sometimes it's just also just to try it out, like I think it's half an hour session for 5 photos, and that, I think it's 150 euros, which is, I don't know, 150 US dollars, something like that. And it's really just a fun way to break up the day and to try something completely different, and to also see your home or office, wherever you take the photos, in a completely different light, because I will see things differently, and I would want you to interact with different things that you're like, oh, I hadn't even considered that, so I took this for granted, right? So it's just completely disrupting your day in the best way, to shake it up a little bit, because I think we need that. It's like a sort of mini travel in essence, in spirit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So I have 2 questions for you as we wrap up. The first one is,
Cool.
what is the meaning of life for you?
To just enjoy it, I think. I think the more and more, because I've always been like, what's my purpose? Like, what should I focus on? And then I need to pick a path. And there's BS. Like, some people have a good path and they love it, and that's great. They're usually specialists. I am not. I like everything. Everything's fascinating. And then I sometimes lose interest very often. So I would like flit in between things. And I realized, why do humans hustle so hard? Why do we just live for pensions? No, we should just enjoy the moment in a way that works, that makes us really happy. Like, romanticize your life if you want to be Delulu, if you want to just enjoy what you do and follow the joy and curiosity. And I think that is really what life is about, because that makes your life more beautiful. Then you are acting more beautiful towards other people, and hopefully treat nature better. And just, this is a ripple effect. And animals don't think about things, they just like follow that urge. Like, the cat looks, hears a sound, and it just runs for it. It doesn't like analyze the situation too much. Like, you follow your gut, and that's usually something we often overlook. So you're already doing well, basically. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. Awesome. And my last question for you, where can my listeners find you and work with you?
I'm like on basically all social media accounts. My favorite one is on TikTok, which basically if you just search my whole name, Annemarie Strehl, I
Mhm.
am, yeah, which is in the title, I guess, in the description,
Mhm.
you just find me. I don't think there's other people with that name. I'm so unique. Oh my gosh. So yeah, just connect with me on Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, just with my name. I also have a podcast. It's currently on hiatus, but I also do the conversations, just talking with other women to
Mhm.
show people we are all so different, and
Mhm.
that's okay. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, Anne-Marie, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for empowering all women. And thank you for
Thank
being
you.
you. And thank you for being on the
Thank you.
podcast.
I'm so happy. I had a great time. This was
Me
fun.
too. It was. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.